The time period of 1978, 1979 was a particularly troubling and frightening era for people in and around the South Mountains mountain chain of western North Carolina, which is part of the Appalachian foothills, and also for many of the residents of my hometown of Kaiser. You see, the unknown had stepped out of the deep woods, and people were seeing the unknown on a regular basis. When they weren't seeing the unknown, they were hearing the unknown. This area has always been known for strange and unexplained phenomena, weird things that's gone on, odd things that's gone on, ghosts, cryptids, lights in the woods, lights in the sky. But during this time period, many different people from many different areas within the South Mountains periphery were reporting seeing creatures, tall, covered in black hair, looking somewhat like an ape, looking somewhat like a man. And these screams and these yells and these hollers and wails that people were hearing all hours of the day and night. And people were being frightened, especially at night. When you hear these strange sounds that come out of these mountains at night, echoing off of every tree in the holler, in the creek bottoms, it'll terrify even the strongest person and make you not want to be outside or make you not want to be in the woods. That's what they were dealing with, and people were worried and scared. I left off in part 2 of episode 21 speaking of a reporter by the name of Robert Williams, and I am, again, I'm going to say this, eternally grateful for his work because he preserved some of the eyewitnesses' accounts. He preserved history in his newspaper articles. But Mr. Williams interviewed a fisherman who was in the South Mountains area fishing one day. And out of the woods stepped one of these creatures. Same description, big, tall, covered in black hair. And as quickly as the creature appeared, it disappeared back into the woods. But our fisherman did a strange, and I would have to say bold thing, because he went back to that same spot the next day with a firearm. Why he did it is probably lost to history. But he waited it out, and the creature made an appearance, and he took a shot at the creature. But whether he hit it or not, it may be lost to history. I find no record of any type of interview after the day that he took a shot at the creature. He may have shot at it because he told someone about his experience, and they made fun of him or didn't believe him, and he wanted to go get the evidence. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. Another account that I ran across, 10 a.m. one morning, a lady named Miss Argel Knight was riding up the road, and I know the exact road. I'm not going to mention the exact place, but she saw what she thought was a large black dog. She slowed down, according to her testimony, to about 30 miles an hour, and she realized that it was not a dog. She said that this thing running on all fours, she never said if it raised up on 2 feet or not, and that's going to be an important thing later in the part 3 that we're doing right now, but that it was able to look into her window. She went home and she told her husband. He said, "Don't tell anybody, they'll think you're crazy." Of course she did. It affected her deeply, and she went on the record as saying how deeply it affected her. And it's a common thing. I've talked to many witnesses over the past 4 or 5 years, and there's a lot of people out there that won't come forward at all because to this day, even though this happened all those many years ago, they don't want to be called crazy or ostracized. If everyone came forward that had experiences, whether it been in that time period or any other, because this area has been known for cryptid activity, if everybody came forward that had encounters, I could probably do a whole boatload of episodes of just eyewitness encounters for who knows how long. Now we're going to get back to Miss Knight's encounter, but I wanted to get to the twist in the story. The thing that I didn't see coming. You see, a friend of mine named Dwight Campbell of Sasquatch Recon found an old documentary that a man named John Alexander of Tennessee did. He came into this area and he interviewed many eyewitnesses, and it was preserved on camera. In particular, there was a witness that I had read about by the name of Mr. Farrell Shook. His full-page picture appears in the Sasquatch or Bigfoot casebook, the updated edition. But it just said that he saw the creature, and I always assumed it was talking about a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch. But Mr. Shook was interviewed on camera in the course of this documentary. He reported that on one Saturday in the afternoon, he went out to feed his cows, and out of the woods came this creature on all fours, black and big. And it went to a ditch, and it picked up a chicken that was dead, that Mr. Shook had discarded, grabbed it by its mouth, and then went back into the woods. You see, Mr. Shook didn't see a Bigfoot. That wasn't the only thing roaming and stalking this area during that time period. It was a large black panther. Now, the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains in general, many people, including myself, have made reports of seeing these black panthers, but apparently the one that Mr. Shook saw, and most likely Miss Knipe saw, was a big black panther. Mr. Shook went as far as setting a trap for it. And whether he caught anything, that may be lost to history as well, unless somebody out there knows something. And if you do, reach out to me. So during this time period, it was enough to have these upright, hairy creatures walking around that looked kind of like a man, kind of like an ape. But at the same time, people were seeing a big, oversized black panther. The vocalizations reported during this time period. Now, I want to point out that a researcher came into this area named Jim Hollingsworth, and he played recordings from out in the Pacific Northwest. And some people identified those Sasquatch sounds that were recorded in that part of the country and said, yeah, that's pretty much what I heard. But there was the vocalizations people heard, perhaps the most terrifying of the vocalizations, and that was this screaming sound that sounded like a woman screaming in the night. Absolutely unnerving. But then there's another twist. You see, there was footprints found during this time period that no doubt point toward a cryptid like Bigfoot, or as we call them, the knobbies. But there was also footprints found that were unmistakably big cat footprints. And there was a third type of footprint found during this time period, the one that's got me puzzled. And that was many of these seasoned hunters, these people that could track anything through the wilderness, who knew the wildlife of this area and could tell one track from another, but they found these huge tracks as large as a man's hand that was described as looking like they were part dog but also part cat. And I started putting some things together. Some people may disagree with me, but I'm going to give you my opinion. I think the third cryptid that was roaming these parts during that same time period, who still roam these parts to this very day, was a dogman. And I know very little about that, but I'm learning. During the next episode, we're going to talk more about this three-way terror that people was experiencing. We're going to talk about some of the post-experience things that our witnesses had to say to show their frame of mind. And we're also going to discuss the skeptics and the naysayers. So until next time, this is Kaiser Rebel. I appreciate all of you, and God bless you. I'll see you next Sunday night, if not before.